Welcome back to OpenLine, talking all about the Nashville Film Festival. It gets underway in 2 nights. Brian Owens is here. He's brought in all these movies, one of the busiest people in all of Nashville. We're kind of going through some of the movies now. We kind of have the overview set, going through some of the great movies that are going to be there, and I want to highlight some local movies.
Yeah.
One of them, Free Indeed. And we'll just kind of show some video of that as you talk about it.
Yeah, and when we say local, we mean Tennessee. So I mean, this
You're right,
statewide.
Tennessee, statewide.
Because this one was made entirely in Memphis. It's got a fantastic story to it. The director is born and raised in West Virginia, but now lives in New Zealand. Came back to make this movie in Memphis. It world premiered at the Venice Film Festival last September, where it won the Grand Jury Prize in the Orizzonti section at the Venice Film Festival. We're presenting it in the southeastern United States for the first time. It stars David Harewood, who people might know from Supergirl. He plays John Johns, the Martian, on the TV show Supergirl. And actually what's interesting is he and the main woman, who was in Ava DuVernay's films, are the only 2 professional actors. Every single other person in the film was cast in Memphis. So it's a really strong Tennessee content.
Amazing.
There.
I did not know it did so well at Venice. We're showing some video of it now, but that's incredible. It's done so well, and this is the first time it's been seen
in the entire southeastern United States.
In the southeast.
Yeah. And it's really, really good. Amazing performances, especially the young man who plays the autistic son of the main female. It's a style. Like, I was shocked when I found out he wasn't one of the professional actors, that he was actually cast in Memphis. He's got a very promising future. But along with that, we also have 6 other films that we're playing that were made in various parts of the state, feature films, 20+ shorts that were made by filmmakers around the state as well. We've got a documentary called Mom Jovi, which is about a Bon Jovi fan club made up of women in their 40s and 50s who meet on the Bon Jovi fan app, but decide there's too much drama there, so they form their own Facebook group. And slowly but surely it becomes not about Bon Jovi, but about this support circle that they've created. And the movie documents their very first in-person gathering, which was held in Hendersonville, Tennessee.
In Hendersonville.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and
great.
It's quite a joy. I mean, the women are all just charming characters. You can't help but fall in love with them. It's a lot of fun. But that's one. There's great drama called Soul. It's got some fantasy involved in it. I'm having
that's great. I mean, those are all great. And now, okay, I want to go to the next category we'll focus on would be music. The music, we talked about that whole music category. Is it music documentary or music? It's music documentary.
Yeah, we've got a lot of music-infused films throughout, but this competition is specifically documentaries about music, musicians, and the impact that music has on us. We've got a great doc about Colin Hay, called Colin Hay, Waiting for My Real Life. If people aren't familiar with the name, he was the lead singer of the Australian band Men at Work, which, if you grew up in the 80s, they were huge.
Yes.
There's also A Song for You, the story of Austin City Limits, the great PBS program, and everyone is in it. And when I mean back, Alabama Shakes. I mean, everyone is in that one. There's also Honky Tonk Heaven, which is about a great bar called the Broken Spoke. That's notorious for being just a hole, but also for having George Jones and Merle Haggard, all the greats played there. But it's funny because when you see the bar, you'd never imagine that all these great musicians have played there, because literally taller musicians have to play like this because the ceiling is so low on the stage they have to hunch over. But it's a really charming documentary, and that's just a few examples of some of the great music stuff. But it's not just country and blues. There's blues, there's classical, there's documentaries about all types of music.
An American epic, is that in that category?
It is sort of in that category, and then it also bridges over to our special presentations. This is a special 3-night closing event. We've never done anything like this before. We're the first place in the world where you can see this series in its entirety. It's a BBC PBS co-production, and we're showing episodes 1 and 2 on Wednesday night, the 20th, episode 3 on the 21st, and on the 22nd we show the American Epic Sessions film, which I can't go into all the details, but you actually see these musicians have to record at a 1928 style recorder.
Yeah, we're seeing some. Okay, fascinating.
Yeah, it's really amazing. T-Bone Burnett, Robert Redford, Jack White produced this. But the Sessions film, you'll see Jack White, Nas, Elton John, the Alabama Shakes, back again, all record in the studio on this machine that you get 3 minutes and 9 seconds to record your song, and you get 1 take. And so it's really this sort of interesting, almost like a concert film, because you're watching these live recordings. They're not with an audience, they're in the studio, but they have to work under these constraints, and there's no going back. And so it's amazing to watch these musicians, someone like Elton John that, is for his big polished stage shows, but working in these unique settings. And they do, songs in such unique ways. Like Nas does a song that was originally by the Memphis Jug Band, originally recorded in 1927, but you would swear when you listen to the song that it is an absolute contemporary hip hop song.
That's
That's what it's really fascinating, and I hope people get excited about it because they're going to see some really cool stuff if they come to see that.
And all right, now so it's over 3 nights,
Yes.
and then it's the closing night.
Right. Well, it's our closing night selection is the Sessions film.
Is the
so
Sessions
to see
film.
the whole series, you come Wednesday night, you come Thursday night, and you come Friday night, and you get all of it.
That's great.
Over the course of 3 nights. And again, parts of it have shown places, like the Sessions film actually debuted in the London Film Festival last November, played South by Southwest. A couple of the episodes have premiered at other festivals, but nowhere has shown the entire series in its entirety this way.
Excellent. Very good. Okay, then another category, documentaries.
Yes.
Which I love. I love documentaries. How many do you have this year?
Overall, between because we have the regular docs, there's 16 there, there's the 9 music docs, then there's also things like American Epic or Wiener, which are in special presentations, but they're documentaries as well. So there's about 30 plus documentary features in this year's festival. So if you like nonfiction cinema, we've got a lot to choose from this year.
Which I think is where some of the great journalism is being done.
Yeah.
Now.
Speaking of journalism, what you're going to see in a couple of these, the documentary from China called Hooligan Sparrow follows a feminist activist in China who goes by the name Hooligan Sparrow. And the actions that it just begins as a simple protest against girls being abused in this one public school on the island of Hainan, and then it circles out in ways that you could never imagine. It literally plays like a thriller at times, and the final shot will leave you wondering how you're even able to see the movie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It really is. It's truly fascinating. And also another piece of journalism, this movie called Tickled is actually, it's a documentary, but it's going to be presented in our Spectrum section, which is for World Cinema. It comes from New Zealand. Starts out unlike any other movie that you've ever seen before. He's an entertainment journalist in New Zealand, so normally he covers things like, here's the cult of Justin Bieber fans, or like these sort of like lighthearted journalistic stuff. And he thinks he's found another one when he sees a website for competitive endurance tickling. But so he just sends an email off to the website to say, and what comes back is this scathing, hateful response that makes him wonder, well, if you're responding that way, you're hiding something. And so the journalism really takes over. And what is seen has to be seen to be believed.
There's I've seen a picture of it, but okay, that's...
Yeah, when he goes down that rabbit hole, what's on the other side is truly strange, disturbing, occasionally very funny.
But that is fascinating. And that, again, where journalism is being done now, because you're looking at something that people have worked on oftentimes for years.
Yeah, and this one's years in the making.
And you're able to watch it in a course of an hour and a half and really kind of delve into something. And there's just great work being done.
And you'll really see these real and amazing stories. One other one that I thought I should mention is When Two Worlds Collide, because if you're talking about commitment in journalism, this film was over 10 years in the making.
Wow.
And it's about the indigenous peoples of Peru fighting their government who has tricked them into selling their lands for oil rights. And the almost civil war that ensues afterward. I mean, again, you find yourself almost wondering how you're able to see this movie because the filmmakers themselves are dodging bullets in the middle of the clashes that occurred in this event. It's truly something to watch.
You also mentioned Wiener,
Yes.
which is the one about the guy who ran for mayor of New York in the House of Representatives.
He was
disgraced.
representing the city of New York, Anthony Weiner.
Anthony Weiner, right.
Disgraced himself with, let's just say, some off-color selfies.
Right,
Leave
that
it
would be
at
accurate.
And the documentarians here begin as if they're making the comeback story, because it's all centered around after he'd been shamed and disappeared for a while, his attempted comeback to run for mayor of New York City. If you know the story, you know what happened there. Certain proclivities.
He's not mayor.
Yeah, certain proclivities could not be contained. And I don't know, in an election season that I think anyone would agree, kind of absurd. This really sort of captures the absurdity of where our electoral politics have gone. But in a way that it plays almost like political farce. Like, I think everyone's going to be surprised how funny it is. And just amazed. I don't know. It won the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance for documentary, and also won the Audience Award for documentary. Which, when those two things collide, big things usually happen. I think you're looking at an Oscar nominee with that one for best documentary.
That's exciting. All right, very exciting. Let's go to the phones here. Carrie, hello, Carrie.
Hi, Hi.
Hi, what's on your mind?
First of all, I'm going to ask Mr. Owens, is he related to the director of the Nashville Public Library? I think the director's last name is Owens.
You know, we are not. We've not even met actually, but that's been asked of me before.
Oh, okay. But the question is, I met a lady, and I think her last name is Polson. The first name might be Diane. I think she did she said she shot some kind of movie through you guys, and it was about autism or something. Do you recall that?
Do you know if this was this year, or are we talking a little bit in the past? Because
I think it was in the past.
Yeah, we had a project a few years ago that I'm pretty sure it's the one that you're speaking of, that was about the lives of autistic individuals, and it was a really touching film. One of the things that we do, and this is again things that you won't normally see with regular films if you just go to the multiplexes, we did one screening of that was considered autism friendly. So we were able to raise the lights a little bit, lower the sound a little bit, and basically let the audience know that if someone needs to get up out of their seat, that's perfectly acceptable in this screening. So those are some of the things that we do, but I'm pretty sure that that's the project that you're thinking of. Right now, in the middle of 2016, the title honestly escapes me. But yeah, I do believe that that's the project that you're speaking of.
There was one last year.
There was How to Dance in Ohio.
How to Dance in Ohio.
That one I remember, but I believe this one is a few years older than that one.
And it's so great because you had people come in and talk about not only that movie, but autism in general. And so it's, again, you see a great movie, and then you're able to talk to people that made it and people that are impacted by it. I mean, that's a great way to do it. You know,
and that's one of the things that I love about what I do, because really, people, I think, on the surface just think that movies are movies, right? You know, it's just something that you plop down your money and let it pass in front of your eyes. But really, we want to entertain, of course, but we do want to educate. We want to inspire, and we want to encourage people to make change. So, I mean, there's probably going to be some documentaries out there that are going to make some people a little angry. You know what? It should. And it should make you want to go out and take action. And you know, it should inspire action. A story that I always love is a few years ago, we had a movie from Egypt called Garbage Dreams. I don't want to go into a huge long story, but Al Gore happened to see it. It's about these young men that worked in recycling in Cairo. He was so inspired by it that he sent it on to his friend Bill Gates. Bill Gates and Melinda Gates were so inspired by it that they donated $1 million to build a school for the young men that worked in the recycling plants in Cairo, so they could get a proper and full education as well as doing their work that they're sort of born into. So to find out that, like, from seeing a movie, from selecting a movie here in Nashville, that it's impacting lives in Cairo, you know, still
that's great.
Years later, that moves me. I mean, it keeps me going.
I love that. All right, we're going to take a break, come back and have one more segment. We're going to talk about horror movies.
Sure.
That's a big part, right? And if you want to call, there's the number 615-737+, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.